comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostic alongside Scarlett Fu. We're counting you down to the closing bell. You're here to help take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast with Carol Massar and Tim Stenevik. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms as we watch a market creep higher here into the close, and we keep an eye on a slate of some big earnings that'll come once those bells ring.
Yeah, Microsoft. We've got Alphabet. They're certainly going to be front and center. These are names that certainly can impact the market moves and the trends that we see. So that is front and center. Having said that, before we get into all of that, those Chinese names that trade in the United States, you know I'm obsessed with this. President Xi kicking in some new economic stimulus overnight, and that group as a whole up about 4% in today's
Not
trade.
only economic stimulus, did you see he actually went down to the PBOC?
Which he never does or hasn't done in a long time. So that was a big deal.
Yeah. They don't even do that in this country. Does the president just go down and like rattle Jay Powell's cage?
We actually don't like, I think, when that happens.
Yeah. How did that basket of stocks do last year? How did it do the year before?
All right, perspective.
Yeah. Sorry.
Just call it Tim perspective.
I'm sorry. Okay, back to the big earnings that are coming.
I thought you were my friend.
I am your friend. I just got, when in doubt, zoom out. That's what you got to do, okay?
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So I'm thinking about Microsoft after the bell. I'm thinking about what they're going to say about AI, what they're going to say about the cloud. Expectations are certainly high. And then, of course, Alphabet. Are we seeing a return to growth when it comes to digital ads? And what are digital ad sales telling us about the greater economy?
Or how much are they getting a boost in YouTube TV subscriptions because of Monday Night Football, not Monday Night Football, Sunday Ticket, right?
That sounds
Monday
like you
night,
have
Tuesday
a
night,
business
Wednesday
of sports
night
podcast,
football.
Scarlett. Sounds like you have a business of sports podcast.
Yeah. Well, we pay attention to all
Let's
that.
walk through the numbers real quickly here as we await some of those earnings across the wire. The Dow Jones Industrial Average in the green on the day, up by about 200 points or 0.6%. As we wait for these numbers to settle down just a bit. But the S&P 500 is going to finish higher by about 30 points or 0.7%, while the NASDAQ Composite higher by about 121 points or 0.9%, while the Russell 2000 closing out the day with a gain of about 0.8%.
All right, as we await those earnings, quick check on the S&P 500. 346 names. Scarlett higher in today's session, 155 to the downside, 2 unchanged.
Yeah, and looking at the sector breakdown, overwhelmingly to the upside. Telecom, utilities, and autos leading the way. Telecom, of course, getting a big, huge lift from Verizon. That group up almost 6%. On the downside, energy tracking lower with oil prices, transportation, and commercial and professional services all down.
All right, so let's get to it. I mentioned Chinese names, definitely an outperformer in today's session. And we do have Microsoft. I'm thinking we should go right there, guys.
Yeah, let's go right to Microsoft. Those earnings crossing the wire right now. The headline number coming in here with revenue for that fiscal first quarter, $56.5 billion, a slight beat over street estimates of 54.5. EPS for the quarter coming in at $2.99. Not quite sure of the comparison there, but let's go through a couple of the segments here. Personal computing revenue coming in at $13.67 billion. That's a beat. The intelligent cloud revenue business coming in at $24.26 billion. That's also a beat. And the productivity revenue coming in at $18.59 billion. That's also a beat. Remember, of course, Microsoft doesn't actually provide any guidance until the conference call, so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to get that.
Check it out. Up 3.5%, up 4% in the after hours. Did you guys see, too, that they returned, $9.1 billion to shareholders?
Yeah, I'm going through the press release right now, and we're seeing a lot of mentions of AI. We've got Satya Nadella coming out and saying, with co-pilots, we're making the age of AI real for people and businesses everywhere. He said, quote, we are rapidly infusing AI across every layer of the tech stack and for every role in business process to drive productivity gains for our customers.
And, of course, the Copilot software for Microsoft 365 comes out on November 1st. So any kind of commentary and color that they give on exactly how it's doing in the lead up to that matters.
All right, let's go. You guys want to go to Alphabet?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it here. Those numbers crossing the wire right now. They report on the third quarter on the calendar side here. Cloud revenue coming in at $8.4 billion. That's a slight miss. YouTube ad revenue, Scarlett, $7.95 billion. That's a slight beat. Total ad revenue, $59.65 billion. That's a slight beat as well. Their EPS, the bottom line number, $1.55. The street was looking for $1.45 on average. Those are the main numbers that I'm looking at right now, guys. What jumps out at you?
Operating income coming in a little bit lighter than anticipated, $21.34 billion. Analysts were looking for $21.4. Other revenue, which is just kind of a big broad category of $8.3 billion. Analysts were looking for $7.9 billion. It's going to be interesting to hear what the company has to say about the Google Cloud business after just turn to profit, seeing this miss for the revenue line.
I would just like to point out another headline that's crossing the wire, and this is more on the cost side. They're taking actions to optimize global office space. So I don't know.
That
Read
sounds like
between
paying less
the corporate
rent.
speak there,
Were
and
they
I think
listening
you
to
can.
Steve Schwartzman? maybe?
No, I mean, they're doing the
Steve
opposite.
Schwartzman is going to be mad.
They're doing the opposite of what Steve Schwartzman
Yeah,
wants to do,
exactly.
but that's tech. I mean, that's tech, that's Silicon Valley.
When he gets back
That's
to
what
the
engineers
office,
have
he's
the
gonna be
power to
really
do.
upset.
That's the engineer speaking, saying we want to work from wherever.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and the companies say, okay, you're the engineers, you can do whatever you want. The CFO, Ruth Porat, also president and chief investment officer, we gotta get her title right, talked about the cloud business. She said the meaningful growth in search and YouTube, momentum in the cloud. Here's some important language. We continue to focus on judicious capital allocation to deliver sustainable financial value. That's the CFO saying, hey, just like Mark Zuckerberg said last year, it's a year of efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, can I just break away? Can we just break away just a quick second from Alphabet and Microsoft?
Yeah.
Texas Instruments
Yeah.
crossing the wire right now. Those shares actually down pretty heavily here in after-hours trading, about 5% here, and it looks like this has to do with the guidance here. They're giving 4Q revenue guidance of 3.93 billion to 4.27 billion. The top end of that range is below the average of street estimates here. So not quite seeing the reason here. But when you go through some of the numbers for the most recent quarter, that third quarter that just reported here, they did actually beat on a lot of key metrics, including on certain revenue as well as on operating profits here, but missing on a lot of other key metrics as well.
You know, it's interesting too. I'm looking at the NASDAQ E-mini futures in the after hours, and they're just up about 0.8%. Keep in mind that, you know, these are names, Google, Alphabet, specifically Microsoft, that can often and typically do move this index. But right now we're just seeing it up just shy of 1%. So just maybe a little bit of an indication, it's early yet, of how maybe this might impact tomorrow's trade.
Yeah, Texas Instruments also missing on the bottom line when it comes to its fourth quarter forecast for earnings per share. The estimate was for $1.76 per share, coming in with estimates that say $1.35 to $1.57. Shares now down 4.4% in the after hours.
And it's not a great read through for the rest of the chip industry as well. If we were looking for Texas Instruments to provide any kind of indication that that slump is over or has bottomed out, this suggests that perhaps there's still a ways to go.
Well, they play into the automotive sector, into electronics, and you do wonder whether or not this, you know, they've seen some pressure, they've been under pressure. You do wonder too about, you know, the follow through in terms of those sectors in particular.
I am curious though too. I mean, when we talk about this, we focus so much on the consumer side of this, and I do wonder when you talk about corporate spend and their capex spending and their sort of build out of a lot of these things, whether that is going to really finally start to trickle into these earnings. Because when I hear one company say we're pulling back on capex spending, or they're pulling it back on marketing and another spending year, I wonder how that feeds into the other corporations that they depend on for the certain services.
The supply chains, right?
Yeah,
Like you think
exactly.
about their whole supply chain and the impact ultimately. Very interesting in terms of what we've seen so far. I'm kind of waiting for Visa to get another read on the consumer, because we get kind of some mixed reading, right? We had a strong retail sales report. We got Hermes coming in today that was under some pressure. And so it'll be interesting to see ultimately what we see, but not crossing yet.
All right, Sundar Pichai in the press release of Alphabet, the CEO of Alphabet, saying, quote, I'm pleased with our financial results. He added that AI-driven innovations across search, YouTube, cloud, Pixel devices, and more. He said that we're continuing to focus on making AI more helpful for everyone. There's exciting progress and lots more to come. I know we've been talking about AI for the last 6 months, 8 months, but these companies have been using AI and just not talking about it for quite a bit of time. And think about Gmail, for example.
And just real quick, there was a great BI piece. I forgot Bloomberg Intelligence piece that really talked about the disconnect between the revenue growth you're seeing in the AI space and the lack of profitability.
All right, really good point. Hey, I mentioned Visa coming out and just crossing the Bloomberg terminal. Fourth quarter adjusted EPS, slight beat, $2.33 a share. The estimate was for $2.24 a share. Let's get to the top line. Fourth quarter net revenue, $8.6 billion. That's a beat. The estimate was for $8.56, and the company authorizing a new $25 billion multi-year share buyback
That sounds
program.
big. That sounds big.
Well, there's a story on the Bloomberg about how we're not seeing maybe as many buybacks, which has provided some momentum, certainly on the equity side.
Yeah.
Cross-border volumes at constant currency up 16%. Visa processed transactions 56 billion, a little bit higher than what the street was expecting, 55.75. And Visa, you guys, up about 1.7% in the after hours.
I'm curious to hear what they have to say about this Fed meeting that's coming up, where they're discussing the
cap
on interchange fees. Yeah, because it's been something that's obviously pretty lucrative for Visa and MasterCard, but a lot of Congress and a lot of the central bank is looking at maybe changing that up.
Yeah, the stocks were under pressure, right? When that news kind of crossed, I think, according to folks familiar, but yeah, so we'll keep an eye. Anyway, Google under pressure. We've got Microsoft rallying, a lot going on. So we'll continue. I know you guys are going to continue to track, and we will too. All right, that's a wrap. Our cross-platform coverage, radio, TV, YouTube, and Bloomberg Originals, guys. We will see you again tomorrow.